Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and feeling completely at peace with yourself. No more self doubt, no more insecurities, no more searching for something outside of you to make you feel whole. Imagine looking in the mirror and truly loving the person staring back at you, not because of anything you've achieved, not because of how you look, but simply because you have finally decided that you are enough. Most people spend their lives waiting for the right relationship to feel loved, waiting for success to feel worthy, waiting for external validation to finally believe in themselves. But what if I told you that everything you are searching for is already within you? That you don't need to achieve more, prove more, or become someone else to feel the love and acceptance you crave. The truth is, self love isn't something you find, it's something you cultivate. It's a practice, a commitment, a conscious decision to see yourself differently. And the moment you shift your internal state, everything in your external world begins to change. Today, I want to show you how to break free from the patterns that have kept you stuck and step into a version of yourself that radiates confidence, wholeness, and love. The way you think and feel about yourself shapes your external world. Every thought you entertain, every emotion you hold on to, and every belief you reinforce creates the lens through which you perceive reality. Most people live their lives unaware of this truth, believing that their circumstances define them, when in reality, it is their internal state that manifests their experiences. You are not simply a byproduct of your past, nor are you a victim of your environment. You are the creator of your reality, and self-love is the foundation upon which everything else is built. When you wake up in the morning, what is the first thought you have about yourself? Is it one of gratitude, appreciation, and self acceptance? Or is it filled with self criticism, regret, or worry? Many people unconsciously repeat the same thoughts every day, living in the emotions of the past and reinforcing the same patterns that have kept them stuck. The mind is a record of the past, and if you are not aware of the thoughts running through your head, you will continue to create the same reality over and over again. Self-love begins when you decide to take conscious control of your thoughts and emotions, rather than allowing them to be dictated by old programming. Your brain and body are always working together, constantly sending signals that shape your perception of the world. If your subconscious mind is filled with beliefs of unworthiness, lack, or self-doubt, your body will respond by producing emotions that align with those thoughts. You will feel small, insecure, and disconnected from your own power. Your energy field will reflect this, and as a result, the people and experiences that show up in your life will mirror that same frequency. This is not a coincidence. It is a fundamental principle of how the mind and body interact with the quantum field. But here's the most important realization. Just as your past thoughts and emotions created your current reality, your present thoughts and emotions are creating your future reality. The moment you recognize that you have the power to change the way you think and feel about yourself, you begin to shift the trajectory of your life. Self-love is not just about saying positive affirmations or engaging in surface-level self-care. It is about embodying a state of being where you deeply understand your worth, independent of external validation. It is about becoming so familiar with the feelings of love, gratitude, and appreciation for yourself that they become your natural state. When you generate the feeling of self-love from within, your body does not know the difference between what is happening in your external world and what you are creating internally. If you wake up every morning and deliberately practice gratitude for who you are, if you visualize yourself as already being the confident, radiant, and empowered version of yourself, your brain begins to rewire itself to match that reality. Your body starts to memorize these new emotions as its default state, and soon this becomes your identity. When you change your internal world, your external world has no choice but to reflect that change. This is why self-love is not just an abstract concept, it is a frequency, an energy that influences everything around you. Think of it as a radio station. If you are tuned into the frequency of self-doubt, insecurity, and fear, you will only attract experiences that align with that station. But the moment you shift your frequency to one of love, appreciation, and self-worth, everything that is on that same vibration begins to flow into your life. The relationships you attract, the opportunities that come your way, and the overall quality of your life start to transform. because you are no longer operating from a place of lack. Many people search for love outside of themselves, believing that once they find the right person, achieve a certain goal, or receive validation from others, they will finally feel whole. But self love is not something that comes from the external world. It is something that must be cultivated within. When you love yourself, you no longer need others to complete you. Instead, you become so full within yourself that your relationships, your work, and every aspect of your life become an extension of the love you already feel. You no longer chase after love, success, or happiness. They come to you effortlessly because your energy is in alignment with them. The process of stepping into self-love requires awareness and daily practice. You must become the observer of your thoughts and emotions, catching yourself when old patterns of self-doubt try to take over. When you feel unworthy, pause and ask yourself, who told me this was true? More often than not, these beliefs are inherited from past experiences, societal conditioning, or other people's opinions. But the truth is, you were born whole, worthy, and complete. Your only task is to remember this truth and embody it in every thought, every action, and every emotion. There will be moments when the old self tries to pull you back into the familiar feelings of doubt and insecurity. But when that happens, remind yourself that you are no longer that person. You are consciously choosing to think greater than you feel, to act in alignment with your future self rather than your past. The more you practice self-love, the more natural it becomes. Soon, it is no longer an effort, it is simply who you are. And when you reach this state, the world around you transforms. You begin to attract people and experiences that match your new vibration. You radiate a confidence and peace that others can feel, not because you are trying to prove anything, but because you have become the embodiment of love itself. The brain is a record of the past. Every experience you have ever had, every emotion you have ever felt, and every thought you have ever repeated has left an imprint on your mind. From childhood, you have been conditioned by your environment, your family, society, and personal experiences to believe certain things about yourself. If you were told you were not good enough, not lovable, or not capable, these words became programs embedded in your subconscious. Over time, they shaped your self-perception and influenced the way you show up in the world. Most people live their lives unconsciously, allowing these old programs to run on autopilot. They wake up each day and repeat the same thought patterns they had yesterday. They reinforce the same emotions, relive the same memories, and engage in the same self-talk that has kept them stuck in a cycle of self-doubt and unworthiness. The mind, when left unchecked, will always default to what is familiar. This is why change feels difficult, not because it is impossible, but because the brain is wired for efficiency. It prefers repetition over transformation, even if that repetition is causing pain. Rewiring the mind for self-love requires awareness and deliberate effort. The first step is recognizing that your thoughts are not necessarily true. They are simply habits. Just as you have been conditioned to believe in lack, insecurity, or self-judgment, you can recondition yourself to believe in worthiness, confidence, and love. The key is to interrupt the old patterns and replace them with new, empowering ones. This is not just positive thinking, it is a scientific process that changes the neural pathways in your brain. Every thought you think sends a signal to your brain, which then triggers a corresponding emotion in your body. If you constantly think self-defeating thoughts, your body will produce chemicals that make you feel anxious, unworthy, or sad. Over time, these emotional states become ingrained and your body begins to crave them like an addiction. Even if they are painful, they are familiar and the body prefers what it knows. This is why people often find themselves repeating the same self-destructive behaviors. They are simply acting out the emotions their body has memorized. But the moment you decide to break the cycle, you take back control. Instead of allowing your mind to dictate how you feel about yourself, you consciously choose thoughts that align with the future version of you, the one who embodies self-love. You begin to observe your inner dialogue, noticing when old patterns of self-doubt arise. Instead of accepting them as truth, you challenge them. You replace them with thoughts that affirm your worth, your strength, and your ability to create a new reality. At first, this process may feel unnatural. The mind will resist, trying to pull you back into familiar patterns. But with repetition, new neural connections are formed. Just as a path in a forest becomes clear the more it is walked, your new thought patterns become stronger the more you use them. With enough consistency, your brain begins to accept these new beliefs as reality. This is how you rewire your subconscious mind. It is not about forcing change, but about practicing new ways of thinking until they become second nature. One of the most powerful tools for reprogramming the mind is meditation. When you enter a meditative state, you quiet the analytical mind and access the subconscious. This is where deep transformation occurs. By visualizing yourself as the person who already embodies self love, you give your brain new experiences to record. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined, which means the more you see yourself as confident, worthy, and whole in your mind, the more your brain begins to believe it. Affirmations are another effective tool. When spoken with conviction and repeated consistently, affirmations help overwrite limiting beliefs. Instead of saying, I am not good enough, you declare, I am worthy of love. Instead of saying, I always fail, you affirm, I am capable and deserving of success. These statements may feel uncomfortable at first because they contradict your old programming, but with time, they become embedded in your subconscious. Self love is not something that happens overnight. It is a daily practice of choosing thoughts that serve you, rewiring the brain to recognize your worth, and feeling the emotions of love before the external world gives you a reason to. When you do this consistently, the brain adapts. And the new self, the one who embodies love, confidence, and wholeness, becomes your reality. Every emotion you experience is a signal to your body, shaping the way you perceive and interact with the world. If you wake up every morning feeling unworthy, anxious, or dissatisfied, your body memorizes that state as normal. It becomes a habitual way of being, dictating your thoughts, actions, and even the circumstances you attract. Most people live in a cycle where their emotions are dictated by their external environment. If something good happens, they feel happy. If something bad happens, they feel discouraged. But what if you could generate feelings of love, gratitude, and wholeness before anything in your external world changed? Your emotions are not just passive responses, they are creative forces. Every time you experience an emotion, your brain releases chemicals that communicate with every cell in your body. If you consistently feel the same emotions, especially ones rooted in stress, fear, or lack, your body becomes addicted to those chemical states. Over time, these emotions shape your personality, influence your decisions, and even affect your health. The body does not know the difference between a real experience and one that is imagined with strong emotional intensity. This means that if you repeatedly relive past pain or anticipate future failure, your body reacts as if those situations are happening now, keeping you stuck in a cycle of familiar suffering. Breaking free from this cycle requires shifting your emotional state in the present moment, independent of external circumstances. Instead of waiting for something to make you feel loved, confident, or worthy, you must teach your body how to feel those emotions now. This process is not about forcing positivity or denying difficult emotions. It is about consciously choosing to create new emotional experiences that align with the future you desire. When you wake up in the morning, you have a choice to fall into the habitual emotions of the past or to generate emotions that reflect the reality you want to create. If you begin your day by feeling gratitude for yourself, appreciation for your life, and excitement for the possibilities ahead, you are signaling to your brain and body that this is your new normal. When you intentionally feel the emotions of love and self-worth, your brain begins to rewire itself to match that state. Neural pathways strengthen around these new emotions, making them easier to access. Your body starts producing different chemical signals, creating an internal environment that supports your transformation. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, self-love is no longer something you have to remind yourself to feel. It becomes who you are. People often believe that they need external validation to feel love or success. They think that once they achieve a certain goal, find the right relationship, or reach a specific milestone, they will finally feel complete. But this way of thinking keeps them in a constant state of seeking, never truly arriving at the feeling they desire. The truth is that the external world is simply a reflection of the internal state. If you feel whole, worthy, and abundant now, you will attract experiences that reinforce those feelings. If you feel inadequate, lacking, or undeserving, your reality will mirror those emotions. When you start to embody self love at the emotional level, your energy shifts. You begin to show up differently in the world, not because you are pretending to be someone else, but because you are finally in alignment with your true self. Your confidence becomes natural, your decisions become clearer, and you stop settling for anything that does not match your sense of worth. You stop reacting to life based on old emotional patterns and start creating your reality from a place of love, intention, and empowerment. This transformation does not happen in a single moment. It is a practice. Every day, you must make the conscious choice to elevate your emotional state. This may involve meditation, visualization, or simply taking a few moments to focus on gratitude and appreciation. Over time, your body begins to memorize these elevated emotions as familiar, and they become your default state. When this happens, your external world shifts to match your internal transformation. You begin attracting people, opportunities, and experiences that align with the love and worthiness you now embody. Your emotions are not just fleeting feelings, they are the foundation of your future. The way you feel today is shaping the reality you will experience tomorrow. By consciously choosing to feel self love, gratitude, and wholeness in the present moment, you begin to rewrite your story. You no longer wait for life to change before you feel different. You feel different first, and then life changes in response. Most people live their lives on autopilot, repeating the same thoughts, feelings, and behaviors every single day. They wake up in the morning and immediately reconnect with their past, thinking about what went wrong yesterday, what they regret, or what they fear will happen today. These habitual thought patterns create familiar emotions: stress, self-doubt, insecurity, and those emotions influence the decisions they make throughout the day. Without realizing it, they are living in a cycle where their present and future are merely extensions of their past. This is why change feels so difficult, because their identity, their sense of self, is deeply rooted in past experiences. But what if you could break free? What if you could become a new version of yourself, one that is no longer defined by old patterns, but instead by the vision of who you want to be? To embody self-love, you must first become aware of the patterns that have kept you from it. Every time you criticize yourself, every time you tell yourself you are not good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough, you reinforce a neural pathway in your brain. These pathways are like well-worn roads. The more you travel them, the stronger they become. Over time, they become so automatic that you do not even question them. You assume these thoughts are true simply because they feel familiar. But just because something feels familiar does not mean it is truth. It only means it has been repeated enough to become ingrained. The challenge then is to break free from the old self. The old self is the version of you that has been conditioned by past pain, by external expectations, by limiting beliefs. It is the version of you that operates from fear rather than love, from doubt rather than confidence. This version of you is not who you truly are. It is simply a reflection of the past. And the only way to create a new reality is to step into a new identity, one that is not tied to old stories, but instead rooted in the vision of your highest self. To do this, you must begin to notice the moments when the old self tries to take control. Maybe it happens when you look in the mirror and immediately focus on your flaws. Maybe it happens when you receive a compliment, but brush it off because deep down you do not believe it. Maybe it happens when you hesitate to go after an opportunity because you have convinced yourself you are not ready. These are all moments where the past self is trying to keep you trapped in familiar emotion, but these are also the moments where you have the power to choose differently. Instead of falling into old patterns, you can pause, you can take a deep breath, and remind yourself that you are not your past. You are not the negative thoughts that arise. You are not the old emotions that try to pull you back into self-doubt. You are the observer of these experiences, which means you have the power to change them. The moment you choose a new thought, one that aligns with self-love rather than self-criticism, you begin to rewire your brain. The more you practice this, the more those old neural pathways weaken and new, empowering ones take their place. This process requires consistency. The brain does not change overnight, and the body will often resist at first. Because the old self has been the dominant program for so long, breaking free from it may feel uncomfortable. You may notice yourself slipping back into familiar habits, feeling tempted to believe the same old stories. But with awareness and repetition, the new self becomes more natural. The key is to reinforce this new identity every single day through the way you think, the way you speak to yourself, the way you act. One of the most powerful ways to accelerate this transformation is to engage in daily visualization. When you close your eyes and vividly imagine yourself as the person who already embodies self-love, who speaks kindly to themselves, who moves through life with confidence, who radiates worthiness, you give your brain a new experience to record. And because the subconscious mind does not distinguish between a real experience and one that is imagined with strong emotion, these visualizations begin to reprogram your identity at a deep level. At first, the old self may resist. It may try to pull you back into old emotional states, making you feel like change is not possible. But if you persist, something incredible happens. The new self starts to feel more real than the old self. You wake up one day and realize that self-love is no longer something you are trying to practice. It is simply who you are. You no longer need external validation because you have already validated yourself. You no longer feel the pull of past insecurities because you have rewired your mind to recognize your worth. And when you reach this state, everything around you begins to shift. The way people treat you changes, the opportunities that come your way expand, and your life starts to reflect the love you have cultivated within. Not because the external world suddenly decided to favor you, but because you have changed the way you see yourself. And in doing so, you have changed the energy you radiate into the world. Your external world is a direct reflection of your internal state. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, and every belief you hold is shaping the reality around you. The problem is that most people believe that change happens from the outside in. They think that once they achieve success, they will feel confident. Once they find love, they will feel worthy. Once they lose weight, they will feel beautiful. But this way of thinking is completely backward. True transformation does not happen by waiting for the external world to give you a reason to feel good about yourself. It happens when you decide to change your internal state first. Everything in your life, the relationships you attract, the opportunities that come your way, the way people treat you, is a mirror of the way you feel about yourself. If you constantly criticize yourself, if you carry a deep sense of unworthiness, if you believe you are not enough, the world will reflect those beliefs back to you. You will unconsciously seek out experiences that reinforce those patterns. You will attract people who mirror your insecurities. You will find yourself stuck in the same cycles, wondering why nothing ever seems to change. But the moment you shift your internal state, the moment you start to embody self-love, confidence, and worthiness, you begin to change the external world around you. Your energy speaks before you even say a word. When you walk into a room, people can sense whether you are radiating self-assurance or self-doubt. If you constantly feel insecure, your body language, your tone of voice, and even the way you carry yourself will communicate that insecurity. And because we live in a world of resonance, you will attract situations and relationships that reinforce that feeling. But when you shift your internal state, when you start showing up with confidence, when you start speaking with certainty, when you start moving through life with a deep knowing of your worth, the world responds differently. People treat you with more respect, opportunities open up. You start to experience a reality that matches the love you have cultivated within. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that their circumstances define their worth. They think if I had more money, I would feel successful, or if I were in a relationship, I would feel lovable. But this way of thinking keeps them trapped in a cycle of lack. They are always looking for something outside of themselves to make them feel whole. The truth is, you must first feel the emotions of success, love, and worthiness before the external world can mirror them back to you. When you start to embody those emotions now, without waiting for a reason, the universe begins to rearrange itself to match your new state of being. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how the world treats you. If you constantly criticize yourself, if you allow negative self talk to dominate your mind, you will tolerate behaviors from others that reflect that same level of self judgment. You will accept relationships that do not honor you. You will stay in situations that do not align with your worth. But when you cultivate a deep sense of self love, you naturally set higher standards. You no longer settle for less than you deserve. You attract relationships that uplift you, opportunities that align with your true potential, and experiences that reinforce your inherent value. Changing your internal state is not about faking confidence or pretending to love yourself. It is about reprogramming your subconscious mind to believe in your own worth. This requires daily practice. Every morning when you wake up, you have a choice to repeat the same patterns of self doubt or to step into a new reality where you fully embody self love. Visualization is a powerful tool for this. When you close your eyes and see yourself as the person who is already confident, already successful, already loved, you give your brain a new experience to record. And because the subconscious mind does not distinguish between real and imagined experiences, it begins to accept this new version of you as truth. Your thoughts create your emotions create your energy, and your energy shapes your reality. If you want to change what is happening outside of you, you must first change what is happening within you. The moment you decide to think differently, to feel differently, and to see yourself differently, everything around you begins to shift. You no longer wait for external validation because you have already validated yourself. You no longer seek love from outside sources because you have already cultivated it within. And when you reach this state, the world cannot help but reflect it back to you. Gratitude is one of the most powerful states of being, yet most people reserve it for the moments when life gives them something they desire. They wait until they receive love to feel love, until they achieve success to feel successful, until they see evidence of change before they express appreciation. But this way of living keeps them trapped in a cycle of waiting, always searching for external reasons to feel good. The truth is that gratitude is not just a reaction to something positive, it is a cause, it is a frequency, a signal that tells the universe you are already in alignment with what you desire. When you master the art of feeling grateful before your external circumstances change, you begin to create those changes from within. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, and every belief you hold sends a signal to your body and to the field of energy around you. When you feel gratitude, you are sending a message that you already have what you desire. You are telling your subconscious mind and the quantum field that you are abundant, that you are whole, that you are deeply fulfilled. And because the external world is a reflection of your internal state, the more you embody gratitude, the more life will mirror it back to you. You begin attracting people, experiences, and opportunities that reinforce those emotions. This is not just a spiritual concept. It is rooted in neuroscience and quantum physics. Your brain is a record of the past. It has been conditioned by every experience you have ever had, every emotion you have ever felt, and every thought you have ever repeated. If you have spent years focusing on lack, on what is missing, on what is wrong, then your brain has been wired to look for more of the same. But when you start practicing gratitude, you interrupt those old patterns. You shift your focus away from what is lacking and toward what is abundant. And because neurons that fire together wire together, the more you practice gratitude, the more your brain rewires itself to look for reasons to feel good. Over time, gratitude becomes your default state of being. Most people live in survival mode, constantly thinking about what they do not have, what they need to fix, or what they fear will happen. Their body is flooded with stress hormones, keeping them stuck in a cycle of worry and doubt. But gratitude is the antidote to stress. When you feel grateful, your body shifts from survival to creation. Your brain releases feel-good chemicals like dopamine and serotonin, which not only improve your mood, but also strengthen the neural circuits associated with positive thinking. Your heart begins to beat in a more coherent rhythm, sending signals to your brain that reinforce a state of balance and harmony. Your entire energy shifts, aligning you with the frequency of what you desire. Gratitude is not just about appreciating what you already have. It is about feeling thankful for what is on its way. Most people set goals and then spend their time feeling the absence of those goals, wondering when they will arrive. But when you feel gratitude for something before it physically manifests, you trick your brain into believing it is already yours. And because the brain does not know the difference between a real experience and one imagined with strong emotion, it begins to rewire itself to match that new reality. The more you feel grateful for the love, success, and abundance you are calling into your life, the more your subconscious mind begins to accept it as truth. And once your subconscious believes it, your actions, decisions, and energy shift to align with that reality. Gratitude also opens the heart. When you are stuck in fear, doubt, or self criticism, your heart is closed. You feel disconnected from yourself, from others, from the world. But when you practice gratitude, you activate the heart center, expanding your capacity to give and receive love. Your relationships improve because you are no longer seeking validation or approval. You are radiating appreciation, and that energy draws people toward you. You stop focusing on what is missing in your life and start recognizing the abundance that already exists. And the more you recognize it, the more it grows. This is why gratitude is a daily practice. It is not something you do occasionally when something good happens. It is a way of being. The moment you wake up, you have a choice to focus on what is missing or to feel grateful for the breath in your lungs, the opportunities ahead, the simple fact that you are alive. When you make gratitude your foundation, everything in your life begins to shift. You no longer wait for external circumstances to change before you feel happy. You choose to feel happy now, knowing that your internal state is what creates your external reality. And when you live in a state of gratitude, the universe responds in kind, bringing more into your life that aligns with the love, joy, and abundance you have already chosen to feel. The journey to self love is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you have always been beneath the layers of self doubt, past conditioning, and limiting beliefs. It is about breaking free from the old patterns that have kept you stuck and stepping into a reality where you no longer wait for external validation to feel worthy. You are already whole, already enough, already capable of creating the life you desire. The key is to shift your internal state, to rewire your thoughts, emotions, and energies so that they align with the love, confidence, and abundance that has always been within you. When you begin to love yourself unconditionally, you stop seeking approval from the outside world because you have already given it to yourself. You stop waiting for success to feel worthy because you recognize that your worth was never dependent on external achievements. You stop chasing happiness because you realize it was always a choice. And as you embody this new state of being, the world around you transforms to reflect the love and light you have cultivated within. So, as you move forward, remember this: you have the power to rewrite your story. You have the ability to choose love over fear, confidence over doubt, and abundance over lack. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, and every belief you hold is shaping your reality. The more you align with the energy of self love, the more life will mirror it back to you. Good luck on this beautiful journey of self discovery. Keep choosing yourself, keep believing in your worth, keep stepping into the highest version of who you are meant to be. The world is waiting for you to show up as your most authentic, empowered self. Thank you for being here, and thank you for choosing love.